Good evening. Welcome to Loud Poets. Please clap your hands, stamp your feet, and make some noise for your host and compere, Kevin McLean.
Welcome to Loud Poets! Oh yeah, that is right. This is Loud Poets Best of Fringe. My name is Kevin McLean, and that is exactly how we want to kick off the Fringe. Thank you so much for coming along and for making all of that wonderful noise. I was going to come out here with a whole preamble about how we bring the poets and the stage and the lights and you bring the loud, but you guys are kind of there. Well done. Thank you so much. Give me a little shout if this is your first Fringe show of the run. Wow, a lot of you. That means even more. Thank you so much for making Loud Poets your first pick. We have an hour of some of the very best spoken word poetry the UK has to offer for you. It is going to be an incredible show. Hey, give me a little cheer if you've never been to a spoken word show before. All the people that haven't been to a Fringe show yet, right at the front, chomping at the bit. The poetry newbies lurking at the back. Don't worry, that's fine. You are going to be welcomed in. You will be spoken word aficionados by the end of the evening, I am sure. But it's going to be an incredible show. For those that don't know, we are Loud Poets. We do poetry, but a little bit different. We try and make it a bit more upbeat, a bit of a fun night out. And so the poetry will be all sorts of different types of poetry. We may delve into the profound or the hilarious. We may get all sorts of places. But the main thing is that you guys have a really good night. You up for that? Fantastic. You guys have spoiled me right away. This is going to kill the rest of the Fringe audiences for me. You should be more hostile. We'll try that actually. Treat me like you've just got in, you've landed, you've got all your bags upstairs. It's not a great run. Your last show got cancelled. Are you up for that? Fantastic. I didn't like it at all. That upset me. Back to normal. Are you guys ready? Oh yeah! Well then, I am going to waste no more time. I am going to get our first feature poet on. I am so excited to have them there. They gigged with us at Glastonbury. They were there doing that. They have a play up at the Fringe. They're an amazing writer, performer, all of those incredible things. Please put your hands together and welcome to the stage, Ben Norris!
Thank you, Kev, who is ever so slightly taller than me. There we go. Hi. Wow, I can't see any of you, but I know you're there, and I heard one of you do a big swear at Kev a minute ago, which was particularly fun. I thankfully had the context for that, otherwise if I was just waiting in the wings and that was the first thing I'd heard, I'm not sure I'd have come out. I was told, do a poem that introduces you or is a way of sort of saying hello. So I've gone for this one. It's about my dad's new partner. She's not that new anymore, but... She was, obviously. That's how time works. My mum had a 6-year-long affair when I was a teenager, and that obviously wasn't great for Dad. When he found out, he wasn't in the best mood, and I think he was worried, and all of us were, that he wouldn't meet anyone else. Not that you have to, but he was very sad, very lonely. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. He did. And she was very unlike my mum, which was probably for the best, for obvious reasons. And seeing them together made me realise that I perhaps hadn't got the correct assessment of who my dad was and what his character was. I thought he wasn't a very tactile person, he wasn't very communicative, but I realised that I'd just been seeing him in the context of his relationship with my mum, and actually seeing him with Sue was gorgeous. Anyway, this is a poem inspired by... an offer that she made me, which surprised me in relation to the kind of, the separation of our family and the loss of an idea of home and all that kind of thing. She said something, and this poem was what I wrote as a result. So this is for Sue, and it's also as a way of saying hello. It's called The Only Ethnic Minority Dentist in Boston, Lincolnshire. There is a wooden plaque on the spare room wardrobe door that says, "Friends are like stars. You don't need to see them to know they're there." But it does help, doesn't it? I am grateful that you said I could live with you. Even though I won't, it's nice to know I could. It cost you a lot to say that. I could tell. Our love has to find a practical valve to escape from. Perhaps because I am not your son, or just that we are bad at it. Perhaps there is no other way we can love. Your decorations are tasteless, and your dog is enormous, and every room is either too hot or too cold. You can see for miles here, but there is nothing to look at. Lincolnshire is a famously flat county. There was a time I couldn't sleep in the spare room because your clothes were on the bed, and this was non-negotiable. You are proud of having found the only ethnic minority dentist in Boston, Lincolnshire, statistically the most racist town in Britain, if you take Brexit as a measure of racism, which, let's be honest, we all did. Not that you were looking. I do not know how you voted in the referendum, and I am not going to ask. You hate all Geordies because your ex-husband's new wife has a Geordie accent, so I am not confident. You drive a cobalt blue Subaru Impreza, 40 years too young for you, with a personalised number plate of your old married name. You ask questions about my life you want to hear the answers to, even though you know the answers might be things you have no interest in, don't really understand, or actively dislike. You touch my dad's back as if he is a boy in his early to mid-20s and you are a girl in your early to mid-20s and you have taken him home to meet your parents and your parents have just left for half an hour and you are allowed to put your hands on him properly for the first time. I never knew he had this joy in him. I like watching you both wash up. Neither of you thought you would have a second chance. You don't have unlimited broadband, but I sleep naked here now, and sometimes hang my clothes up in the wardrobe when I stay. Thank you very much.
Fantastic stuff. We are going to roll right on to our second feature, who has just been shortlisted for the Edwin Morgan Award. I knew you guys would respond perfectly to that. Please give all of the love to Nasim Rebecca Asl!
I really wish Kev could just follow me around and just introduce me wherever I go, because that was really fun. Hi, I'm Nasim, and my intro poem that I'm going to do for you, it's one of my favourite ones to perform, partly because it's one of the only ones I have memorised. And it's about those kind of like existential moments that I think people have sometimes. And for me, that often happens when I'm just like in the shower. So this is a poem called Exfoliation. The razor dances on my skin. Cross up scratch, missed a spot back. One leg stares. Soft, young, clean. Goodbye, dark hairs that dare to tumble from Asian limbs. I was 11 when I stole my Bobo's razor for the first time. A blue bit kiss on virgin skin. Just trying to fit in. Plastic beads storm the beach my body makes when it hits the water. Press gently on my sides, hugs my hips like an annoying child. Hello, beauty. Goodbye, dead skin. Little cause of me, shake, cry, flake, spin, spin, sink. Into waves. What had they seen, these microscopic me's? I hope they got to know the world, and not just the blade that severed them from the loving arms of my calf. What had they seen? I remember reading once that it takes the human body 7 years to renew every single cell, which means that one day, this body will not be the body branded by bruises I can't bring myself to remember. I won't count the rosary with my scars. One day, this body will not be the body once held by him. And approximately 1,213 days from now, he will be a stranger in more than just the name. Now, my limbs won't miss missing him, but that doesn't explain the hurt I feel when blood balloons at the razor's touch soreness that says a heart has missing parts. I look at my hands. Eventually, these hands will not be the hands that held my mother. These fingers will not have stroked my dying grandma's hair. I don't want to wake up one day and not see their shadows on my skin. Can I stop an exodus? I know there are thoughts that go deep into the body, weep seep into sinew, twine into the marrow of bones. They say trauma is inherited and DNA can't be shorn away, but still, I don't recognize all the different incarnations of myself. So in the quiet moments of the dark, I scrape, peel, pluck, pull away layers, of all the girls I know I've been. Some cells thrive in me that I think are poisoned, but I'd rather blame my shell than my soul. And all the while, my old skin still spirals down the sink. Thank you.
Stellar stuff, but we have one more poet to introduce to the stage, so please give all of that love to the wonderful Imogen Stirling!
Thank you, Kev. Thank you for having me. And thank you so much for coming, everyone. I'm so delighted to be here. I'm going to be... Thanks! I'm going to be reading tonight from my collection of... I feel like I've become really Scottish because I know I'm the only poet with a Scottish accent. Anyway, I'm going to be reading from my collection, Love the Sinner. Thank you. Love the Sinner is a modern retelling of the stories of the 7 deadly sins, set as characters in a contemporary Scottish cityscape. And I thought I would start with the introductory poem to the piece just to set the scene for the pieces to follow. So, aptly titled Beginnings from Love the Sinner. Cast from the mind of a Greek, they are 7, etched in memory and manuscript. They act as guide, warning, and legend. Crude definitions caught somewhere between complex and simple. Their cardinal intelligence documents a testament of misdemeanor. Impressive, really. See their history and stature standing as pinnacles, their vision held terrific vastness. They span millennia to tell us of sin, steadfast through time, whittled by Christian teaching, made media darlings iconic. They shrink as time will do, adjust as time will have. Watch them hone. See relics turn to roads, tomes to tweets. See ruins rebuild as smog-filled cities steeped in rich industrial history, a grid plan marking harsh social divides. Litter-lined 9-to-5 grind, club strips, ashen tips, parks and dogs and tedium. Pavements slick with oily rainbows dissolved in Scottish rain. Scholars now derobed, costumed back as vintage students pierced and dyed, and electronic faces washed with android brightness. This city stamps its feet to shake the dust off times gone by. See now a city laden with expectation, bladed with criticism. See a city framed with billboards, toned by filters. See a city that blurs its rough edges. Our sins find themselves rough edges. Their names softened for heavier tongues, shortened for quicker thumbs. Time has turned them mediocre. For though their legends are huge, their legacies stay tiny, compressed by the boredom of modern society. If you squint just there, you might catch a glimpse of greed as she smokes through pristine top floor window, her sighs mingle with the groans of pride hefting weights in the gym. He makes the most of his lunch break. Sloth could not imagine it. She's 3 days deep in Netflix binge, her bedroom stale and crisps trampled into carpet. Her mum won't like it. 2 skinny lattes and gluten-free brownies to go at Gluttony's Cafe, but not for him. He is on kitchen duty, living off tips shared by a waitress who pities him. Trapped in her rage, wrath is biting her tongue from spitting her vitriol. Lust lays lethargic and pitiful, while envy, paranoia prone and prosaic, succumbs to Facebook inadequacy. Our sins exist in urban stupor. Alive and brutally kicking, they stand, each a phrase in the lower, no less, no more, yet their minds twist in knots at the state of themselves amidst it all. Eyes of judgment are everywhere. You cannot move for the weight of its stare. Coddled by scrutiny, led towards betterment. These tropes of transgression have solid roots set into history, but today has taught them vulnerability. You'll find them drawn to the self-help shelves of Waterstones, snatching quiet minutes to seek answers in pages. You will find them counting wages. You'll find them lost in the anti-social rabbit hole of Instagram. You will find them buried under labels, under labels, under labels. You will find them smothering anxiety, these champions of self-diagnosis with a number for breathing space saved on their phones just in case. This is a story of the seven, but not solely, for it is a story of you. It's a story of me. It is a story of we brought to life through aged archetypes as they strive to fight the roles their society prescribes. Thank you very much.
That is your three feature poets. We are going to get beautiful 10-minute sets from all of them to close out the show. But before that, we are going to play a little game we like to call Poetry Jukebox. Here, Poetry Jukebox fans at the front, I respect it. We are going to play a really quick game of Poetry Jukebox. I don't know how many we will get in, but basically we will get our poets to line up behind me in front of the projector screen. A random prompt will appear, and they will have to jump to the mic and crowbar a poem into that theme. Does that make sense? Let's hope it does as we welcome back our poets! He's going to shout at me later. Roddy, can we please have the first category? No, good, yeah. Evil. Poets are too nice. It's never been like that on Mock the Week, has it?
Okay, so this one is about a Persian, folklore character who can be considered evil. And hopefully it kind of makes sense who she is as it goes, so we'll just hope for the best. But her name, the important thing, is called Nini Khom. When I lived, their hisses slithered behind me. Torshi Day, Jen Day, my pickled hips an empty promise. Soured, I loved and loved, bedded and bedded, peeled open my heart, my legs again, trying to find my way to that other promised world. To you, sweet Bache Kuchalu. I was born to be Maman, but I died with empty arms, hard, withered breasts, all my unbroken waters still churning at my wellspring. I cling to mountains, as my unborn babies should have clung to me. Earth shakes when I sob. In the valley where my barren body rotted, families grew to fear me. In death, their whispers call me Nini Khom. Nightjars call warnings from Judas trees when I wake with dusk. They cry like cicadas, watchful as serpents, their stony feathers glaring. Branches drizzle me with petals, surati for my dokhtar, and blanket my path, my bare brown feet bloody. I croon lullabies to the moon and glow white and bright like sorrow among the trees when I hear it, mewing, wailing, screaming. Answering the summons, I blaze back to life, arrive at the side of a cradle, staring at a miracle. Its sleeping parents can't hear her. My new daughter weeps only for me. In my arms she settles, fat fists in my hair, I drop a tear on her forehead, and know my Nini Baba Peri will never grow old. She clasps my hand as we roam every forest, her siblings all rescued, all taken, all cherished, flocking around us. squabbling like pigeons, trilling with larks and nightingales, babbling with possibility. The sun turmeric on our skin, we count eagles, owls, the heavyset bustards roaming our uplands. We chant caw, caw, caw with the cuckoos. As month after month we find crib after crib, and we rescue the babies no one else will care for, and I carry them all. Their futures, their talents, their promise, balanced like love, heavying my hips.
Amazing stuff. Can we have another category, please, Roddy? Eating.
So I used to work in an environment that only had men in it, which I didn't love. Like a strange thing started happening that I, first of all, didn't quite even know what it was, and then I realised what it was, and what it is on page 20, so bear with me. I meant to bring books with me, but in the rush and stress of coming up to the Fringe, I forgot, so I just have a copy of my book printed on A4 kindly by the Loud Poets and the library staff. Okay.
Loud Poets for all your printing needs.
Thank you. Well, the Edinburgh copy shop was closed, so, I mean, there is a gap in the market. Okay, so this is called Donuts, or Obeyed for Boys. At the all-male office, donuts meant sex. Meant they'd had her. A sweet treat for the lads to slap the morning on its hairy back. The rich boys bought a dozen per woman, fit to burst with sugared fat. Packed with the ugly stuff we don't want to want. I didn't know yet what donuts meant, and we'd gather round like beasts to gorge on the fall, as if the body itself were laid on the table, glazed and unboxed, as if we'd all been there, cheering from the sidelines, snacks in hand, glued, ringed, stuffing gaps into our fast mouths.
Amazing stuff, Ben. Amazing stuff. Roddy, can we have one final category, please? Splendor. Ooh. Splendor. Pressure's on, Imogen. Crowbar away, my friend. Or you can risk it and roll again, but you'll have to go with what gets rolled. What do you think? Roll again?
Yeah.
Roll it again, Roddy! Love. You're too nice to her, Roddy. That's awful.
I don't have a huge amount of that either, let's be honest.
What are you?
That's all right. Okay, bit of a flawed love poem, I suppose. Pride woke up, and there was peace, like a perfect vacuum, horizontal in a room that smelt of space, that brought him grace from usual daily mornings laced with friction. Her body tensed with frosted animosity that he attempts to melt with puns and coffee vapours as they sit in breakfast table stalemate. Conversation long evaporated into disinterest. She is a heavenly statue, cold and impassive. The house hangs heavy on her word, but not today. This morning brought forgotten respite. Eased into the day with open heart and gentle wake, just his arm draped tender over Pride's waist. Pride is man. Sweet routine of morning run and nighttime gym, exfoliate for perfect skin, then beers to rough it up again. Grad job, new wheels and FIFA on Sundays. He plays the role perfectly down to a T. They see him, a modern Adonis, all carpe diem and signature flawless. They see him, a modern man, all techno and dick jokes. His girlfriend is beautiful. They make quite the pair. She's the talk of the office. Golden, they call them. All couple goals, hashtags. It makes Pride feel smug. It defines him. He tries to keep this in mind. As the boredom starts biting, the interest starts dying, he sees her eyes wandering and they argue more than they talk. And though he's not really that bothered, he holds on to her still like a crucifix. Because he is man, and this morning's duvet clings to the blood of punctured ego. It is gooped and sticky, holds pride down like a fist. This room looks different to him. The same space where they've smoked and they've talked and they've studied and laughed for as long as he's known his best friend, his gaff. Now this looks like a trap. Now he looks like a bad decision. Always so easy in his skin, pride sees him now still slick with midnight sweat and cheeks flushed rose with baby blush. What is he dreaming of? Adam and Adam. They lay tight, rib cages pressed with umbilical closeness. He makes him think poetry. He is man. But he is man, so is he man? When nothing even happened, they just talked and fell asleep. He was so kind, you see. She'd locked him out their place again, refused to see his face again. He bought them beers, he rolled a spliff, he listened. Pride can't remember the last time that somebody just listened. But he is man, and everywhere he looks now, everything seems phallic. Everywhere he looks, it feels like someone's laughing. They are stone-carved God-men, molded through history to be what they are today. They are strong men, hard men, tough men, yet everything's fragile. One step out of line and identity shattered. All pride has worked to maintain. Pride has rainbows coursing through his veins, and he feels shame and he feels clarity. And the river is staggering, certain to break any moment. Pride should cry out, but his throat is choked with words of love and hate and loneliness. So all he can do is hiss through his teeth at him as he blinks the day awake and spit on his goodness while his stomach twists at the thought of the guys at work and the girl at home and their words and their looks, and he's scared and he's sick and he just wants to hold him. Thank you.
Amazing job. Can we get a big round of applause for all of our poets? As they fade into the darkness. Very, very ominous. Guys, we are going to crack onto our feature sets. You have seen your poets. You've seen them have random prompts thrown at them. You've seen them introduce themselves. And now it's time to get a bit of a glimpse into their best work, their 10-minute set. It's going to be awesome to give them a little chance to kind of get themselves collected before they jump up to the mic. I will just say, we have a lovely merch stall upstairs. And poets be a hungry people. If you want to support any of the poets who have merch that are part of our shows, if you want to grab flyers for other spoken word shows, if you want recommendations on where to find more spoken word in the scene, depending on where you are, we can point you in the right directions. We have mailing lists upstairs, all of those good things. So please, go talk to a poet, give them validation. It's what fuels us. That would be very nice. Are you guys ready for your feature sets? I thought you might be. Then please help me welcome back to the stage the wonderful Ben Norris.
We be hungry, it's true. I was supposed to have merch, but then this happened. So if you have a nice time, all I'll say is, and if you would have bought a book, you still can online, but please come and see my play. Anyway, I'll do some poems first that hopefully you'll like, and then that will have more impact at the end when I say it again. I think I'll stick with the whole affair theme because I've sort of given you my the coda that my dad enjoyed at the end of that, and I'll read a poem about my mum. I met the news of her affair with this aggressive empathy. I realise now, after years of therapy, that was also a kind of defense mechanism. But I wanted her to feel loved and supported and not admonished, and the family was kind of falling apart, and I felt I'm the oldest kid, and so I think I had this energy of like, oh, it's fine, we can just move into a new place as a family, and I think I slightly accelerated that at an artificial pace. But anyway, the impulse was very genuine. So this is a poem I wrote about the weekend that my mum's affair began. Obviously, I had no idea then, but when she told me about it, she told me when it started, and I was like, that was when we were at a popular seaside resort on the northeast Midlands coast of England with my school football team, and you didn't come. So anyway, this is when the poem is set, and it is called "It's difficult for children to pinpoint the exact moment they realise that nothing lasts forever, but rather it slides into view like the silver wink of the sea as the family Astra rounds the bend of a Lincolnshire hill." Which is difficult to say with the liners in, but I managed it. And the poem is about the same length as the title, so don't worry. Of course, I wasn't to know, as Jason, Lethan and I pretended at playing snooker on a full-size table, as Dad shuffled Claire and me round the go-kart track, if only to get our money's worth, as grey day turned to grey night and the adults all drank and nobody thought to lament the fact that the mums and dads of Netherfield Colts FC under-15s couldn't afford to go abroad. Our static caravan, terrestrial telly, chicken nugget weekend trundled on like a 70s fairground ride that no one found exciting even then. As Butlins spluttered into Monday, of course, I wasn't to know that you were setting yourself on fire, Mum. Letting yourself love him for the first time. You probably had, I'm not finished. God forbid, it's such a delicate moment as well. You probably had brunch, probably held hands, linked, kissed with February lips like a torn calendar. I wasn't to know that one day this would find itself in a happy poem. Now I'm finished. Thank you. I have to keep clumsily going back to the contents page. Where are we going now? Oh, it's the very next one. Okay, cool. That's helpful. Oh no, two more. So I wrote that one at the time and was like, I think everything's fine. And then I realised how utterly unhappy I was after a breakup of my own and how much I'd like fast forwarded that process. And so I went back and did some retrospective grieving of the family unit. You didn't think you were coming to a group therapy session, did you? But you are. For that is poetry. So this is called Anything Other Than Myself. And it's quite a bit newer than that first one. I remember, oh no, I need to tell you this in advance. You know when you're driving or you're on the train and there's some billboards are attached to like a new property development and it says, if you lived here, you'd be home by now. And it's supposed to make people like stuck in a traffic jam or on a long commute be like, oh, maybe I should move there. It's really smug and fucking annoying most of the time. And often the developments are horrible. Anyway, that's the only bit of context that you need. Here we go. I remember St. John's wort in the kitchen, nestled in the bread bin, not hidden exactly, but not asking to be found, as if it knew the questions that would come. I would make toast on my tiptoes and think, how can anyone just be sad? Your dressing gown is soft, and you have a job, and so does Dad, and he doesn't hit you, even if his breakfasts are boring at his doctor's insistence. I thought, because I had things to look forward to, everybody had things to look forward to. I feel like I have an itch in the middle of my back that I can't quite reach, and the itch is my phantom sadness, and my hands are other people's love. I keep waiting to calm down. If you lived here, you'd be home by now. We both struggle with seasonal affective disorder. In the winter, you have to generate your own warmth. You can't just sit there and stay alive. Everyone says I am entertaining. I try and remember the last time I made myself laugh. Is it like Saturday night telly, when there were only 3 channels and nowhere else to be? Or is it like a compilation of people pissing themselves at bus stops as captured on council security cameras? A millennial falling down an escalator phone first? A little boy on a stool fixing a breakfast of instructions and possible side effects while his mum ignores a tea and tries to feel differently. High-quality clinical evidence is lacking. Why is all of this only coming out now? When I was 10, you tried to leave him halfway round the world from his meager friendships, a trip you didn't want him on in the first place. He didn't get out of bed for months, just carried his sadness to different climates as we worked our slow way home. You told us he had a cold. When I was 15, you said maybe your dad should have just been a one-night stand, and we both agreed that this was a good thing for me to hear. You must have spent so much time on the ring road in those double years, those billboards. Did you ever think about not driving home? Did it still feel like driving home? You were worried I wouldn't know what love is. Like, if you've never been shown the dark, how do you know darkness? But I can close my eyes. If you've only ever had noise, can you imagine music? But I have been to friends' houses. I have put my fingers in my ears before now. None of this made you a bad mum. If you're going to mess something up, better to do it through too much love. I had such a textbook childhood. The first poem I wrote about your affair was positive. I was so desperate to be okay with everything, I arrived at the answer without any of the working. I showed the therapist I wouldn't need for another 7 years. Such formidable progress. I have always been more concerned with being impressive than being okay. Standing at a crossing and waving through a train. There is surely more to life than tolerating things. I think of my childhood with a diplomatic neutrality, like I'm trying to be the BBC. Even shame was better than this. But maybe you have to feel nothing before you can feel something again. I have never pretended to be any surer than curious. I have never pretended to be anything other than myself. If you lived here, you would be home by now. We have a saying in the family. After I burst a 3-kilogram bag of oats by tearing, not cutting, despite your repeated warnings. It's called a muesli moment. When something is inevitable and disastrous and is going to take a fuck of a long time to clean up, but you do it anyway because you got to eat. Thank you. One more? All right. I'll finish on a poem that emerged from both of those and from all of this thinking. Here we are. It's a poem in 2 parts, reflecting now on my kind of the relationship with my folks that I've arrived at separately. It's called 2 Selfies. I should probably talk about the play first. That's the thing that people do, isn't it? Say the thank yous and the goodbyes and the plugging, and then do the poem and be like, bye. So that's what I'm going to try and do. The play, where did I put it? There it is. The play is this. Thank you so much. It's a very nice image, isn't it? It's a queer 2-hander about self-driving cars and autonomy and class and power and love. But it's not quite as heavy as it sounds. It's got lots of jokes and swearing in it as well. It's on autopilot. Sorry, thank you very much. I'll pay you later. Autopilot. It's at the Pleasance Courtyard at 1:35 every day. I'm really proud of it. So if you like the poems, it hasn't got any poems in it that were written by me. It's got 1 poem in it that was written by a bot. But still, it's really nice. So please buy a ticket for that and come along. I would absolutely love that. And I guess I can sell one of you these A4 pages if you want. Right, I will leave you with this. Thank you so much to Kev and to all of the Loud Poets team for having me. It's so wonderful. This is my first time in the Scottish Storytelling Centre, and that's also hard to say with aligners. It's beautiful, it's really lovely, and you've been beautiful and lovely, so thank you so much for having me. This is finally the final poem. It's called 2 Selfies. Part 1, with her. With her, I'm the snappy adolescent, still shouting down the stairs. It's amazing how quickly our heads draw back into the shells of youth. She still wants to mother me, and I hate that I hate that. a need to prove I am okay without her, which is still a need for her to know I'm okay. Clenched fist of boyhoods on the sofa. Part 2. With him. With him, I'm calmer. Never thought I would feel like this around a man I convinced myself I was so unlike, and a dog still learning my smell. Feeling uneasy does not mean feeling unwelcome. With him, I'm still Lynx Africa for Christmas. But at least I am something for Christmas. How sublime to have someone to roll your eyes at. People without love don't roll their eyes. Thank you so much.
And please keep that noise going as we welcome back to the stage, Nasim Rebecca Asl!
I'm just going to set a timer because I have Asian timing, which means I have no timing at all. So if I don't do that, it'll be like 3 days later and I'll still be going. So I'm going to do like a smattering of poems for you, hopefully some different styles, if I can find them. Maybe not. Yes. Okay. Cool. So this first one was written as part of something that I don't know if people know about it. It's called the Scottish BPOC Writers Network, and they just do amazing stuff for writers of colour in Scotland. And this is one of their poems that featured in their audio anthology. I don't have anything to plug, so I just thought I would plug them because they're really cool. We are 9 and playing princesses. Arms spiralling like sycamore seeds, we careen from one end of the big yard to the next. Grey pleats fan from our empty hips like ball gowns. Scallop socks slide down our tiny ankles, and the plaits trailing behind our heads are budding wings. If we lay down in our shadows, we'd be dwarfed. You decree. So we spin and spin and spin and spin until grass is sky and clouds are daisies. Then we tumble, breathless, flushed, knees grazed, limbs skidding on tarmac, laughing. On bruised elbows, I cross my legs to look at you. When the war cry breaks out, our classmates scatter like dandelion seeds. I make a wish. Then we are up and running across the field, down the hill, away from the power of the boys nipping at our small heels. I'm faster than you. A berry brown waif already used to fleeing the rumbling of a man, so your fingers stretch for mine and I pull you behind me. Ignore my bursting heart, the mess of moths rising and the dust of my stomach. I can't catch my breath, but as I turn to your buttercup hair, my chin is glowing. You are the most beautiful thing my short life has seen. And I don't know what this means. So I release your milk bottle fingers and let a boy with hair as gold as yours catch you instead. And I'm glad that he's not old or bold enough to pucker up. So your lips stay apple red. That night, I open my Snow White diary. Write, I'm scared I might love girls. Reread my unjoined letters, bury them in felt tip, slam shut the book and hide it in the darkness under my bed. Thank you. I do need to open this book again, but point stands. Cool. So that is about being little and liking somebody for the first time. And now we're going to do one about being old and disliking somebody. So, full circle. This one is based on a message I actually received on a dating app, and this was like a few years ago, but I did see the same guy like a few months ago, and it was just like very annoying. And it's called #DatingWhileBrown. Swipe right, chap. Left, rast. In a corner of my screen, yek unread message glares red. My thumb flicks, lazy, taps the beacon, and alarm emojis ring in my head. A strange man said, sells himself to ethnically ambiguous girl. I once ate Bombay mix at Anissa's. It's 1:04 p.m? Maybe he has glazar on the brain, racked his mind to try and find the ingredients. of my DNA? I blink. The scorpion wrapped around the lamb stings my left chest, tail thrashing against my skull. In rage, breathe in and out. Be, khaj. I unleash my fingers. Let my hands paint pixel symphonies to explain away my brown. I want to tell him. Though bloodlines wrap around the caduceus of my body, but these veins are not my heart at war. I am Simor, copper feathers streaming from my scalp. I want to tell him. He's picked the wrong region. That my people are herby. I stew, you stew, they stew, pots of sabzi, and I taste my heritage with an English tongue. I want to tell him. I've not visited Anissa since I ran out of a mixer at a Memuni in an old friend's flat. And I think I bought some Walker's Sensations, along with the own brand lemonade, but I definitely paid in pounds. I don't think they accept the reals that I don't know how to count. I want to tell him that I hung the flag of Iran above my hi-fi when I was 12, right next to my Nick Jonas Ms. Magazine shrine. I want to tell him that Efson burned in my yellow bedroom, the smoke curling into waves. I want to tell him that John Denver blasted from those speakers, the vibration shaking the green, white, red, Sab, Safid, Kamez. I want to tell him that album is my Baba's favourite. I want to tell him I don't know my country's roads, that I've not been since 2015 and I'll be imprisoned if I ever go back. I want to tell him that in our house, my mom's Geordie Dastan make the best chai. I type. There is nothing ambiguous about my dual existence, but instead delete the message and remove him from my Zendegi. Thank you. Cool. So I'll do a couple more. So I'll do like 2 really short ones and then 1 long one. And I've timed all of this, so it should hopefully be fine as long as I can find the little ones quite swiftly. So just talk amongst yourselves. Okay, cool. So as you might have noticed, I use a lot of Persian in my poetry, and that's like just something that I do because I'm mixed race, and some words I sort of know instinctively, and also I'm learning Persian, trying to come to terms with myself, blah, blah, blah. Very boring. But one thing I don't do is explain any of the words that I use. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but for the most part I don't. But one word I will explain to you is the word zaban, which in Persian means both tongue and language at the same time. So this little poem is called Zaban. My father's language is a house I cannot enter. My teeth are strangers to my tongue. It does not sit or curl or roll as it should. I cannot enter my dandans. Khreji haunts my shadow. Zabane padare man curls and rolls like birdsong I cannot mimic. All my homes fall from my lips, haunt my saye. I don't know my father's language. Nemi dinam, I say to aunts, cousins, uncles. I mime all my khanes. Falling from my lips, motahsefam. I'm sorry. Forgive me, nemi dinam. I mime to Ame's cousins with clenched dasts. My family sips chai on scarlet carpets they wove without me. Motahsefam, I'm sorry. Forgive me, Baba. Your language is a home. My zaban can't shape its key. Thank you. Thank you. Cool. So, this last one I'm going to do is cheating a wee bit because it's like a little bit long, but still within the 10 minutes. Don't worry. I can see it. But it's like 4 poems in one big poem. So hopefully that, keeps your attention a little bit. And it's called Vignettes of Acceptance. 1. Night skies were once lit only by the moon's perfect grace and the flicker and histories of constellations. Light from the past scattering in the atmosphere. Once, we all had star-glow skin. These are tales mothers whisper now to children who doze in beds built by a stranger's bloodied back. These are tales I will whisper to my unborn children as the yellow glare of lampposts leads us all to dreams. Tonight, there is no howling moon. Above our bowed heads, greed chokes the stars. 2. Ribs protect the inner organs, the secret workings of the heart, the ferocious beat of the body. Mine have, at times, tried to burst through my flesh. Starvation once lured my skeleton to the surface. Shaken fingers traced those me-made mountains from tarnished crown to hungry hollow, and all my jagged peaks. Passing pilgrims left meager offerings, fruits lip fury at the altar of my body. My bones have since retreated. I am soft now when I touch my chest, but sometimes I miss myself. 3. Otters sleep clasping paws so they can defy the tides and stay together. I've made peace with the lull and pull of my body, the currents of doubt that flood my veins and curl the ends of my hair. Let me return to the river, to the pike-sharp teeth, the high backs of roaches. I want to count the patchy scales of the carp. I'm no longer scared of drifting away. When I sleep, my hands no longer feel empty without someone else to hold. 4. Rootless hundreds have exploded into thousands, millions, nomad, wayfarer, vagrant. Endless waves of ungrounded people weave through the news on their way to hostile worlds. Blossoming tongues study the word for home in a foreign house. I don't know how they find the hope to build shelter where once there was none. The somewhere their spirits long for is forever lost. It matters not that they bury their dead in soil they don't know the truth of. They know better than most that we are all equal in the gaping maw of the earth. Thank you.
And please keep that applause going. Build it up. Get even louder as we welcome back our final feature, Imogen Stirling!
Thank you so much. What a beautiful night to be part of. It's just so class to be here. Thank you for coming. Thank you for having me. And I hope you have a wonderful Fringe experience. I'm quite overwhelmed by the whole thing, to be honest. The programme's huge. But we're here and that's what's important. So get on with it. Imogen. I'm going to share two more poems from Love the Sinner, 2 more characters from the show. So it's a bit of a funny show. It currently exists as a poetry book. You can buy it upstairs. I have some copies. It's also being adapted into a theatre show with the company Vanishing Point Theatre Company. It's been a very long time coming. COVID really turned those plans upside down. But it will be out in theatres next summer. But for the meantime, it is a spoken word piece, and something that's been so fun about writing the book and the show is that I've been kind of handed this framework of the 7 sins to play with. And the funnest part of that is that through exploring these different characters, I've got to write some really fucking brilliant women, which is my favourite thing to do. So I thought I would share 2 of them now. The first is the kind of unlikely hero of the piece, which is the character of Sloth. It is by no means a COVID story whatsoever, but it was written largely during the pandemic, so I think quite naturally absorbed some of the anxieties of that time. And I think Sloth embodies a lot of the sort of lethargy and the general hopelessness that I'm sure many of us were feeling. So I think by writing her as his hero and empowering her, there was something very cathartic in that. So this is her story. Fell asleep watching Friends again, saw Ross Geller's face in my dreams again. Woke up, waited with dread again. Don't have the strength to face the day again. I carried Russell Brand's book in my backpack for days, thumbed it fast till my fingers turned black and the edges got frayed. You remember the one, his political one. A Bible to guide movements, now acting as my doorstop, but at the time my friends and I bought it. And I know he's a twat, but something in his words spoke to me, seemed to coax some secret unspoken from me, seemed to reach to a part I did not know, and he made me feel that bit less alone, you see. Because I try to watch the news, but I don't understand the words they say. I don't know who they speak for, but they don't speak for me. I would choose to lose myself in rom-coms of a House of Commons jargon, but I'm told that's not useful. Now, Russell was preaching not to vote, and I thought that seemed excessive. So when it came to the election, I marked the X in the box kept for the Animal Welfare Collective. It made sense. That's what I think's important. But the man next to me, he stared at me dead. He openly taunted till he turned Labour red in the face, blamed me for the downfall of our modern politics. It's young folk like you, he said. Caught up in your pin-ups, fake disillusion, go do something then. Don't preach revolution, then not follow through. And we fought for this, we gave you this, so aim higher than your commercial messiah. Go on then and tell me, what do you want? My mind is blank, but my hands ball in fists. They say us millennials are taking the piss. I watch this structure where I don't seem to fit. I don't know what I want, but I don't want this. I feel the need to apologize all the time, but I don't quite know what for. Seems the fact I was born at the time I was born is enough to draw scorn like breath. So shame me, so blame me. I've heard it all before, like how today's youth do not have the vigour to fight a war. Well, I don't know if that's a bad thing. Perhaps we've just seen sense, but instead we have ourselves labelled complacent. No, I want to act, to get up, to find movement. I feel it itch in my palms like the fervour of Ennio, but it is empty avidity. When I feel like I'm wading daily through misery. Instagram's crippling. Rent is skyrocketing. Graduates spend their days working in cafes because there are no jobs. The climate is dying, bombs terrifying, the people are starving, and all the while our government is just laughing. See, everything's fucked, and I am so little and it is so late. So I am happy just here with my bed and my crisps. We cannot make a difference. And apathy's bliss. The days stretch long, and it's pointless to try. I feel life seems brighter when I close my eyes. Tell me I'm lazy, tell me what to do. I don't know where to go, but I won't follow you. Then sometimes, on those 3 a.m. sleepless nights, I feel it stir. That thing, that something, that sung thing, that primal thing that feels ancient, that feels too big for my modern language to speak, but it is there, like it's always been there. It is deep. It's there in the city sense of community, but it's transcendent of all that we think to be normal. It is a force propelling disciples to follow their leader, the Greeks being swelled into riot. It's there. I know it's there. It must be there. I just don't know where to find it. Fell asleep, watching Friends again. Saw Ross Geller's face in my dreams again. Woke up, waited with dread again. Don't have the strength to face the day. Thank you. Thank you so much. I don't really have an introduction to give actually, which is quite good. I'm a bit of a rambler when I try to do I've noticed the two of you are very slick talkers in between your poems, and I lack that skill. This next poem is the final piece I'll read this evening. It's the character of Wrath. She's been a very fun one to write. For those of you who are familiar with spoken word, it's often quite an introspective art form, drawing a lot from personal experience, and it's something that's never quite resonated with me. I come from a very theatrical background where we play a lot with characters and other people's stories, so that's been quite nice with the Seven Sins, writing about other made-up folk. But I'd say if there was maybe one poem in the collection that is a little bit more me, it's perhaps this final one, so it seems a nice one to conclude on, The Angry Gal. So thank you very much for listening. This is Wrath's poem. Wake up early. Rise with the sun. Don't snooze. Don't lie in. Lie in. Get a full 8 hours, 10 hours, 9. Make like the Spanish. Meditate. Every day. Twice a day. When you wake. Never more than once a week. Appreciate. List 5 things you are grateful for. Manifest. Set intentions. Cleanse. Tone. Apply serum, eye cream, moisturize face oil, hydrate, sunscreen, prime, sculpt your brows, dress your eyes, lips. Then apply foundation, concealer, bronze, blush, highlight, powder, and spray. Don't take too long on your appearance. Don't think too much of your appearance. Don't try too hard. Be natural. In 12 easy steps. Dress up, dress down, wear heels, wear flats. It's hot outside. Don't show skin. It's hot outside. Show skin, not too much skin. It's hot. Skip breakfast, never skip breakfast. Fast, intermittently eat, not too much. Don't eat too much. Have 1 black coffee, good for the heart. Avoid caffeine, bad for the heart. Eat fruit. Don't eat fruit before 11. It's high in sugar. Drink water, juice, everything. Yoga. Run. Stretch. Move. Don't exercise too soon after eating. Don't do it like that. Wrath can't understand why she's angry all the time. She works. Oh, she works for the wage, for the passion, for prestige, for the women. Care about money, don't care about money. It's progressive, it's vulgar. Procrastinate, it's healthy. Don't procrastinate, it's lazy. 10 life hacks you never knew existed to make life better, to make you better, to make you better, to make you increase productivity. Meet your deadlines, update socials on your lunch break, do yoga on your lunch break. Don't take your work home. Have a 4-day week, have a work-life balance, meet your deadlines, laugh off the colleagues who hit on you, the boss who patronizes you, the city streets that see you as fair game, as prey. Put that away. And cycle home. Get fresh air, ignore the cat calls, don't talk loud, don't take up space. Take up space. Be a boss bitch. Be a feminist. Don't be a feminist. Don't call yourself a feminist. Don't do it like that. Wrath cannot understand why she is angry all the time. She hears, be independent. Go out alone. Don't go out alone. Don't walk home alone. Text me when you get home. Don't leave your drink. Don't wear headphones. Don't think you're safe. Don't sleep with him. Don't dress like that. Don't entice him. Don't entice him. But fill your lips, fill your tits, fill your face, lose your lines. Don't entice him. Act your age. Don't look your age. Don't try too hard. Don't get raped. Relax. Wind down. Have a bath. Practice self-care in a feminist way. 1 large Merlot. Absolutely no booze. Do not use your gadget. Screens are bad. Drink tea. No caffeine after 7. Meditate. Count your breaths. Listen to your breaths. Listen to music. Listen to nothing. Read a book. Have a snack. Do not eat. Remove your makeup. Never sleep in your makeup. Never let a man see you without your makeup. Cleanse. Eye cream. Tone. Serum. Retinol. Moisturize face oil. Perfect sleep in 7 simple steps. Don't set an alarm. Sleep peacefully. Thank you very much.
Imogen Stirling! Guys, I just want to say a big thank you for coming along. Thank you very much. But for us, can I just get a big round of applause for Roddy in the booth? For all of the staff here at the Scottish Storytelling Centre. For you guys for being so amazing. And we have one big round of applause for our incredible poet! We have been Loud Poets. You have been fantastic. Have a wonderful Fringe and we'll see you again. Good night!